Japan, a land where the ancient bows to the future, where Shinto shrines stand in the shadows of skyscrapers, a nation of islands, forged by fire, shaken by earth, and tempered by centuries of ambition, artistry, and survival. This is not just the story of a country. This is the story of a civilization that turned isolation into innovation and tradition into timeless strength. From its sacred mountains to its neon cities, from samurai code to economic miracles, this is Japan, carved by nature, war, and wisdom. To understand Japan, we must begin with its bones. Japan is an archipelago of over 6,800 islands, stretching like a crescent moon across the Pacific. But it's for that matter most. Honshu, Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku, the pillars of the Japanese mainland. But beauty here comes at a price. Japan sits on the Ring of Fire, a seismic zone alive with volcanoes and tectonic tension. It has more than 110 active volcanoes, including the majestic Mount Fuji, both a symbol of peace and a silent promise of eruption. Earthquakes are routine, so are tsunamis. Yet, the Japanese learned not to fear nature, but to adapt to it. Buildings sway but seldom fall. Warnings sound seconds before disaster strikes. They have turned instability into architecture and danger into discipline. The land is rugged. Nearly 80% is mountainous. Farming? Rare. Arable land is scarce. But what they lack in space, they master in precision. Rice terraces carved like stairways to heaven, tea fields laid in perfect lines. Surrounded by ocean, Japan's lifeblood is water. The Kuroshio current nourishes its seas, making fishing a way of life and of flavor. Geography isolated Japan, and that isolation bred a culture like no other. Japan's history reads like a poem written with steel and silk, a story of emperors, monks, warriors, and the will to endure. Prehistoric Japan began with the Jaman people, hunter-gatherers who left behind pottery older than the pyramids. Then came the Yayoi period around 300 BC. Rice cultivation arrived, metallurgy began, and society started to organize. But Japan's first true power rose with the Yamato clan, giving birth to an unbroken line of emperors, a line that still rules today, making it the world's oldest continuous monarchy. By the 6th century, Buddhism arrived from China and Korea, blending with the native Shinto faith, a religion of spirits, mountains, and purity. And then came the sword. The Heian period, 794 to 1185, gave us Kyoto, a golden age of art, poetry, and imperial intrigue. But as the emperors faded, warriors rose. The samurai, Japan's legendary warrior class, ushered in the Kamakura shogunate, the first military government. For centuries, Japan was ruled not by emperors, but by shoguns, warlords with armies of steel-clad loyalty. In the 1500s, foreign ships brought firearms and Christianity. Some shoguns embraced the West, others feared it. By the early 1600s, the Tokugawa shogunate shut the doors, Sakoku, a policy of isolation for over 200 years. During this time, Japan turned inward, but not backward. Art flourished. Cities like Edo, now Tokyo, boomed. But the world came knocking again. In 1853, American warships under Commodore Perry forced Japan to open its ports. A revolution followed, the Meiji Restoration, ending feudal rule and beginning a meteoric modernization. In just decades, Japan transformed from a medieval society into an industrial power. Trains raced across the countryside. Uniforms replaced kimonos. Steel replaced sword. But ambition turned dark. By the early 20th century, Japan became a military empire, invading Korea, China, and much of Asia. World War II ended in devastation. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki burned the memory of war into Japan's soul. From the ashes, a new Japan emerged. Post-war Japan had nothing. Cities in ruins. Economy shattered. But from devastation came innovation. By the 1950s and 60s, Japan rebuilt with astonishing speed. Fueled by American aid, government planning, and cultural discipline, Japan's economy soared. By the 1980s, Japan became the second largest economy in the world. Toyota, Sony, Panasonic, Nintendo. Japanese products weren't just made, they were mastered. The world watched in awe and sometimes fear. Tokyo's stock market exploded. Property prices in Tokyo rivaled entire nations. Some believed Japan would surpass the US. Then came the burst of the bubble in the 1990s. An economic crash followed by a decade of stagnation, the lost decade. But Japan didn't crumble. Instead, it evolved. Today, Japan remains a tech titan, a global leader in robotics, precision engineering, and design. Its economy ranks among the top 5 globally, fueled by exports, innovation, and a work ethic that defines resilience. Yet new challenges loom: an aging population, low birth rates, and a shrinking workforce. How does a country built on tradition adapt to such a future? With creativity and caution. Japan is not just a place, it's a philosophy. At its heart lies harmony between nature and human, past and present, silence and sound. The tea ceremony, an hour of stillness and subtlety. The kimono, woven with stories, worn with grace. The art of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, turning imperfection into beauty. Then there's anime, manga, video games, modern myths that reach billions. A global cultural force, yet deeply rooted in Japanese storytelling, ethics, and aesthetic. You'll find centuries-old kabuki theaters next to J-pop megastores. You'll walk streets where robots serve ramen, but monks still chant at dawn. Cuisine? It's not food, it's an art form. From sushi that melts like memory, to street-side takoyaki octopus balls, to the ever-humbling bowl of ramen. Japanese food is a reflection of season, spirit, and simplicity. There's even a word for this attention to detail. Wabi-sabi, the beauty of the imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. Japan doesn't discard the old. It folds it into the new. From Zen gardens to bullet trains, from haiku poetry to cyberpunk cities, culture in Japan is a dance between reverence and revolution. What makes Japan, Japan? It's not just temples or technology. It's gamen, endurance in the face of hardship. Omotenashi, hospitality given without expectation. Kaizen, the belief in continuous daily improvement. These aren't just words. They are values passed down like heirlooms. Japan's strength lies not in conquest, but in its quiet determination. In the rituals of morning commute, in the bow that speaks louder than words, in the cherry blossom, blooming with beauty that lasts only a week, reminding all that life is short and must be cherished. Japan is an island nation, but it is no island to the world. Its history is deep, its land alive, its economy dynamic, and its culture unlike any other. A place where emperors still reign, where the future feels ancient, and where every street corner carries 1,000 years of memory. Japan isn't just a country, it's an experience, a living story, and it's still being written. And so, we come to the end of our journey. A journey across fault lines and empires, silence and storms, neon and nature. Japan, a land of sacred traditions and relentless innovation, of shrines that whisper to gods, and cities that hum with machines. It is a place where the past is never forgotten, not because it haunts, but because it grounds. We've seen islands born from fire, mountains forged in the belly of the earth, rivers that shaped villages, and oceans that both isolated and protected. We walked through time, from the Jamin to the Jinroku, from swords and scrolls to skyscrapers and semiconductors. We watched a nation fall to its knees and rise like the unyielding sun on its flag. Japan is not a place you can define in a single word. It is poetry written in cherry petals and algorithms encoded into silicone. It is ancient without being outdated, modern without forgetting its soul. It breathes in moments, in a bow, in a silence, in a steaming bowl of ramen after a long day. And somehow, you always feel it's watching, guiding, waiting. Even now, as the world speeds up, Japan reminds us to slow down, to reflect, to notice beauty in the fading leaf, in the moment of stillness before a storm. It teaches us that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in resilience, in routine, in reverence. What other country balances so effortlessly on the edge of paradox, where elders sweep temple steps as robots sweep city floors, where teenagers cosplay in Harajuku while monks meditate just streets away, where a tiny island chain, battered by typhoons and quakes, still stands as a symbol of precision, discipline, and quiet power. Japan is a country, yes, but it's also a feeling, a rhythm, a presence, and once you've touched it, you are never quite the same. So, wherever you are in the world, whether you're sipping tea or boarding a bullet train, whether you're chasing dreams or finding your center, know that somewhere beneath the rising sun, Japan endures, steady, silent, unfolding its story one season at a time. Thank you for taking this journey with us. We hope you saw something new, felt something deep, and maybe fell in love with Japan just a little more. If this documentary moved you, if it made you think, wonder, or smile, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more journeys through the world's hidden stories. And share this video with someone who needs a little wonder in their day. Your support helps us keep creating thoughtful, powerful content for curious minds like yours. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep exploring. This is Past to Present,